Pain heals. Chicks dig scars. Glory lasts forever.
The future of the women's basketball game is absolutely blindingly bright, so bright. I gotta wear shades. Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for being here. Appreciate all your support, of course. Hope you're having a fantastic day. Shout out to the 19. My enthusiasm, although there, of course, is some actually for this subject, I think it's kind of cool, but it's a little bit forced because let me just say, the Phillies and the Eagles did not have a very good weekend. In fact, I don't even remember the last time that I had to worry about dealing with a Philadelphia Eagles loss. Oh man, the trauma, the trauma. Anyway, you've heard me talk about this before in videos. I wanted to dive in a little deeper. I think you'll find it interesting because I found this amazing clip that backs up what I have been saying, and that is this. Caitlin Clark, not only has she changed the WNBA, well, she hasn't completely, but you know what I mean. You know what I'm getting in terms of ratings and all that. The way she played the game brought in all of these new fans who wanted to watch her in a league that no one even really knew existed. I Every time I talk about this, I think of these videos I've seen over the years of, people on the street interviewing people, and they talk about things like sometimes they get on with the play being the same of women and men. Sometimes they talk about athletes and pay and so forth, and then they bring up the WNBA, and these people they're like, oh yeah, they need to be paid the same as the men, but they don't go watch it. They don't buy anything. They don't can't name any players. They don't even know that the city that they're in has a team, and you know the deal, on and on and on. And obviously, Caitlin Clark has changed that to a degree that I can't even. Well, I'm sure it can be quantified somewhere, but I am not quantifying it right now. And what I have always said is that Caitlin Clark will, if she's allowed, this is the key. This is why I said, I don't know that the future of the WNBA is very bright. It's a trash, pseudo professional charity with a whole lot of villains in it. But the future of women's basketball should be bright thanks to Caitlin Clark. But as I've always said before, it is going to take time. Why? Because Caitlin Clark just played, or some of her second season in the WNBA as a professional. She's only 23. All the young players inspired by her are still young players. So it's going to take time, but you are going to see this is just like in any sport, any athletic event, things evolve because someone comes along and does things differently. And then everyone else tries to emulate that because they are inspired by it. And you can see this video, and I'm going to let it run also while I talk. I'll point out specific things, but I just kind of want to talk about what you're seeing in general because this is amazing. Watch these young players. You did not see this even 5 years ago, folks. These young kids and where they are shooting from with this basketball is absolutely insane, and they're making it look easy. There's the drive, step back to the left. Now I'm just going to pull up and I'm going to chuck it from the next town over. Nope, you're not going to come out and guard me. That's fine. I'm going to shoot from near midcourt like this one is. That is basically even with the bottom of the circle on that one. I'm going to step around the. I mean, look at this, folks. This is nuts. This is nuts, and they're making it look easy. There's the step to the left, boom, nice and easy. And these are all the players inspired by Caitlin Clark who are gonna get a little 39 feet. I mean, that was almost half court. That was inside the circle, or further away, not inside it, but it would be inside it if she was straight up. So it's actually probably even further away. I think that was a buzzer beater, so she had to. But this is absolutely insane. You didn't see any of this before Caitlin Clark, and now these players are trying to make it routine. And think about how difficult, just like Caitlin Clark, how difficult it is to guard any of these players. Now it spreads everything out. And you hope, now we're not seeing it. They're showing this video for a reason, obviously, because this is the most iconic part about Caitlin Clark's game that got everyone's attention initially. And that was, of course, the logo three and the insane distances from which she would shoot the basketball. But I'm going to guess, being that they're so inspired by Caitlin Clark, that you are seeing this. They've watched a lot of Caitlin Clark. That means they're inspired by her whole game, which means even though this is about that logo three and that iconic shot, you're also going to get the players that are going to pay attention to Caitlin's one-on-one and Caitlin's handling and Caitlin's dribbling and how that's used for a purpose, unlike so many of the NBA players nowadays who just dribble to dribble. And then, of course, the other iconic thing, or it's becoming iconic now with Caitlin Clark, is the kind of passes that she shows and her basketball IQ. And you are going to see the generation coming after her that are going to completely change the way the women's game is played. It is going to be unrecognizable. And all these vets who keep hanging on because the league seems to not only allow it, but encourage it, do a lot of things to keep younger players from breaking in. They're going to have to go because they cannot compete. And that is also one of the things with the officiating as well. See, no one could do this. And this is why they allowed the officiating to be the way it was and the physicality, because they wanted to say, no, we are not going to let you see the incredible lack of skill that our players have, because that was awful. But if we make it physical, we can talk about how gritty they are and how tough they are and how strong they are and how determined they are and the tough battles that they play and, playing through bumps and bruises and aches and pains and scrapes and scraps and all that. And you see players getting into each other's faces, and Brittany Griner's always trying to chase people down the court so she can punch them. But now we're going to have players coming into the league who can just flat out ball. And you are going to, it's going to be, that's why I kept saying all this time, it's going to take time for sure, because these young players have to grow up and then have to go into college, and then they have to go into professional, whether that's the WNBA and it still exists or not, or that is a new league that has taken its place. I do not know the answer to that, but I do know that it is going to be hella fun to watch the way the game changes. And again, this opens up so many other things. It opens up so much with the spacing that when you do finally, hopefully, take the physicality out, not the contact. There's a difference. Basketball is a contact sport, but when you take the physicality out and you allow that freedom of movement, that player movement for these players, and they can hit all these shots from all these crazy places. By the way, they all, if you notice, and this is what I mean about generational change, all these young players shoot that shot far better than anyone in the WNBA today, other than maybe Caitlin Clark. All right, isn't that wild? That is generational. That Caitlin Clark, that is someone who is completely changing the game, not just from a fan perspective in terms of the number of fans that want to watch it, but from a playing perspective. When you watch in 5, 10 years, the way the women's game is played, and it is completely different, again, unrecognizable compared to today, that will all be because of Caitlin Clark. It will not be because of Caitlin Clark and Me Bounds. It will not be because of Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese. It will not be because of Caitlin Clark and Alyssa Thomas or Paige Beckers or DeWanna Bonner or Brianna Stewart or Kelsey Plum. It won't be Nafisa Collier. It will be Caitlin Clark, and that is all it will be. Period. Mic drop. End of story. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there. Appreciate you checking out this video. Thought I'd do something a little feel good, because the CBA stuff is going to be wild. It is just getting started. It is going to get ramped up. But do me a favor, smash the like button, subscribe to the channel. Really do appreciate it. Go have the day you deserve. I will talk to you later.